Good morning. It is day 3 of the Eat Local Maui challenge. Visit projectlocavore.com if you want to join along. There's all kinds of amazing, great prizes for people who are wanting to eat local foods, things that are grown here and not flown here, coming on the barge. So anyways, y'all are gonna see me in all kinds of states. I just woke up and I really, my mom is actually stepping in. My mom and grandma live with me, and my mom is stepping in to make breakfast because it's homeschool time, but she needs some greens, and I also have a plan for making lunch, and I am going to use the greens for lunch as well. So I'm going to share with you, these are wild. I did not plant these. Let it be known, I did not plant these. Chinese violet, Asystasia janensia is the scientific name. And we eat the greens, and I don't eat them as a raw green. They are a cooked green. Typically I'll boil and then drain off the cooking water, and then use those cooked greens and added to whatever I'm eating. So I just want to share one other thing about foraging these. Eating plants that are somewhat stressed is actually tied in with longevity. Plants that have a little bit of bug chew on them, have maybe been sunburnt. Sometimes you can see plants that have a little bit of pinkish or reddish color to the leaves. Anyways, we can keep going through this throughout the month, but I just wanted to share that I harvest this. Not everything that I harvest has to look perfect. In fact, plants that have had a little bit of damage are sending some of their medicine to heal themselves, and so you, by eating that, really benefit from that. So anyways, I'm harvesting all kinds of greens that look good and the ones that don't necessarily look great. So yeah, just wanted to share that.
I found a stinkhorn mushroom over here.
Look at that thing. Ooh, growing underneath the cardamom. So I just wanted to be super clear that the stinkhorn mushroom, and there are several different species that are kind of loosely called stinkhorns, is not an edible mushroom. It was really, really fun to find, and it's becoming slightly more rainy around here. Not really, I'm sitting under this full sun here in Wailuku. But yeah, we had that stinkhorn, and I did have to look in my fantastic book, Mushrooms of Hawaii, and it was the Phallus rubicundus. So that is the scientific name, and we had a positive ID on it. So yeah, that is a poisonous mushroom and not an edible mushroom, just to be super clear, but super fun to see. So to go along with some of those Chinese violet greens that were harvested earlier, I am going to make a broccoli, like a cream of broccoli soup. And coconuts are a huge part of my diet. And so you never quite know what you're gonna get with coconuts sometime. And so I just kind of wanted to show you how I'm gonna open some, and I'm gonna use them in making soup. So when you remove this with your little tea tool, and if you don't have one of these, oh yeah, they are da bomb. You poke into a coconut, and oftentimes it is too hard to make it through. So that means that the shell on the outside is more fully formed. And so at that point, then I use my machete, and I start on the opposite side to start whacking away the pointed tip, and that way I can slice off some of the shell in order to get the water. And I only do that just because I'm wanting to save the water. It is so bright and sunny, I can hardly see anything. I hope you're seeing this, but basically I went all the way around, and you can see this little point. And what do we do with that now, Zeb?
get a machete if you do have one.
Or a little poker.
Yeah, and if you don't have a pointy machete, you should get a coconut opener, and then you can just pop out that jelly.
Yep, and then we just pour that right, and we
yeah, and if you see like
filter it through there.
Hole, the coconut water, you can take that out, and then eat that little coconut.
Yeah,
part.
and now we'll cut the coconut in half.
Yeah.
So this is just truly a really bad setup that I have. I had my little coconut opening station on the other side of the house, and I was trying to move it over here. I'm trying to find shade, you know, to store my cocos, and you know, this is like next to an electrical cord. This is not good. But that said, I'm still getting my coconuts regardless of not having the perfect ideal scenario. So, you know, once I went around again, I just wanted to share one thing that I hadn't before, which is to find this, like, what you want to cut it in this direction to open it. So I already gave it one good whack on that side, or Zeb did, and then now I came in and I gave it a good whack on that side, and so let's see if I can balance this between my legs. Now I just take it and spread it apart, and this is the part I mean of what you just really don't know how much meat or how thick the meat is going to be on the inside. So we kind of have this
pretty thick layer.
yeah, it's not very thick, but that'll work great in our soup. This is also a fantastic texture to marinate and saute. I love sauteed meat when it's about that thickness. All right, so the next step is to use this handy dandy tool. Yes, this tool is so good to work the edges and scrape out the meat. So just to be clear, I'm going to rinse all of this, so I'm not worried about any, you know, little pieces of the coconut husk. Of course, if there are any that are firm and hard like these, I'll peel those away. But basically I just start putting them in there. So to just demonstrate, see if I can balance this again, is to work the edge and release the meat. Alright, so we got our coconut, and I'm going to make a broccoli soup. I steamed some broccoli, and I'm going to first saute up some onion with some elephant garlic. I have a little bit of steamed ulu left yet. I'm actually going to use some of the leftover of the kind of mushroom saute. This will all get blended up together. I'm going to save this to add back into the blended soup, just kind of for some nice texture. I'm going to use some olive oil, and I'm going to grate a bunch of allspice in there for some flavor, along with some salt and some pink peppercorns. Right, so I ended up adding those Chinese violet greens in there, and on top I have some crumbled mac nuts and roasted kukui nut. And yeah, a little hot sauce, and here we go for lunch. All right, so it is getting to be dinner time, and I'm gonna go ahead and take some of that coconut that was opened up earlier today. I've sliced it into these kind of longer pieces. But first, before I start cooking them, I've got some beautiful coconut oil, which in the skillet, I'm gonna put some curry leaf from my garden, and lemongrass from the garden, and Hawaiian chili from the garden. I'll let those cook for about 30 seconds, then add the coconut slices, and then once it gets going, after a little bit of time, I'll add the ginger and the elephant garlic. Let that cook even a little longer, and then towards the end I'll add the turmeric powder, which also comes from my garden, which I powdered. And then I have some roasted kukui nuts that I foraged, along with some macadamia nuts gathered from a friend's place. And at the And I will put some cilantro leaf on top, and then alongside, I'm so stoked, I literally found this mutant when I was harvesting this star fruit. This is very unusual. So I'm gonna slice up some star fruit on the side, a little 7-pointed star fruit. Yeah, get some mutant action in. I just wanted to be clear that this is kind of the cooking that you want it to get to. I actually did not put in the curry leaves and lemongrass first. I was like, oh yeah, I better cook these first. So just kind of at a medium to medium high, getting these kind of that nice browning on them. All right, so it's dinner time. I have to say, it's absolutely delicious. These pieces of coconut are divine, and